Greetings to my fellow peace blunders and welcome to the first video of 2024 on this beautiful channel. Yes, we are somehow alive. We have survived 2023, which is good news. And yes, I've missed you guys a lot. So many more videos to come. Streams also coming back starting next Tuesday, so keep an eye on that. And yes, let's go. And today's video is meant to reboot / continue our series that we had going about world-class, truly elite players sometimes blundering in a very silly fashion, and to learn a bit from that, to understand and to recognize one more time that we're all human beings, after all. Sometimes we make mistakes, sometimes we get sick, sometimes, in the case of Tol, we get sick every day and we die very early, boo-hoo. But yes, today's video is indeed about the magician from Riga, about Mikhail. And I'm looking forward to looking at some of his mistakes. Hopefully, so are you.
Ой, Миша, называл ты тут фигур, теперь мне про тебя видео делай. Ой, ёкарный бабай.
And by the way, like I said, we've had a video like this done before on other people like Magnus, Hikaru, and other people, so you may want to check them out. So, position 1. To start with, I actually need to flip the board. There you go. Tricked ya. Tal was not white. Tal is going to be black in our position, and this game was played in 1971 in Moscow between Tal as black and Fredrik Olafsson, the Icelandic chess grandmaster, as white. Now, Olafsson is a bloody good player. At his peak, number 14 in the world, respectable. Nowhere near Tal's level, of course, but hey, still very competitive. And, funnily enough, Olafsson is still alive. Still alive, 53 years after the game, still alive, still kicking. I think he's 88 years old. Yeah, compared to Tal, very much alive. I'm dreading to think what is going on with Tal right now, what state he's in. Not very good. Well, you know, what are you going to do? When you make a video about Tal, it's basically in your job description to make a joke or a statement about sickness or death or both, or whatever. There you go. So, it's black to play, and I'm going to warn you, first couple of moves are going to make total sense. Alright, up until the blunder, the position is going to be actually equal. It's going to be like, all zeros. Then the blunder happens, and then oops. But Tal plays d4 here, very sensible, trying to break up the center. Well, why not? Takes, rook takes, a very, very aggressive, also very, very sound. The rook is protected by the knight, attacking the queen, getting a tempo on a dastardly queen. There you go, queen c7. You know, queen, very, very active. Not gonna get trapped, probably, because, you know, black doesn't have a dark squared bishop to control this diagonal, so if anything happens to this queen anywhere around here, most likely the queen could just retreat anywhere along this diagonal and be perfectly fine. So, the move is fine. Bishop d7, also very, very fine. We want to untangle our queen side. You know, we don't like our bishop staying on c8 and rook staying on a8. Not good. Rook h to e1, very good move, and let's face it, very intuitive. You know, you would play it yourselves. We develop a piece, we develop it with tempo on a queen, queen needs to move, queen f6, there you go, the queen moved. Now, Olafsson's like, hey, look man, your rook on d4 is great and all, but I also would have a rook like that. What about I play rook e4, and I challenge your rook? We have a bit of standoff here, a bit of tension, you know, a bit of masculine tension. No big deal, right? And, you know, taking the rook on e4 is completely fine. And there are lots of other moves which are completely fine. However, Olafsson was very, very happy to see what Tal is going to play next. It is probably, maybe, it's difficult to say, but it's probably the worst move on the board. I'm not even joking. And this is something that a lot of you guys would also have done, maybe. Because this move is just very, very intuitive. You look at the board, you think of a couple of moves that are intuitive for beginners or intermediate players, or for any players. It was apparently intuitive for Tal as well. And, you know, if you think of a couple of moves, you're probably going to hit the target on that blunder, because that blunder is very, very human and very, very explainable. So if you want to pause the video and guess what this is, please do. But yeah, I'm going to spoil it for you in just a second. So the move is the very, very, very human rook c8. Attacks the queen, and we all like a good queen attack, right? And this is completely normal. This is hell. This is what Olafsson did just a couple of moves ago, attack the queen. And this is what a lot of people like doing, because when you attack a queen, you create a threat. You know, queen has to move. We like that stuff. And the queen on c7 probably a bit annoying, so we want it out. And taking queen b7 probably not advisable, because we can then play rook b8 and we have an open file to play against. So, you know, Olafsson wouldn't do that. In fact, why would he do that if there is a brilliant move which is actually easily findable? And there is a story about this game, because I got this story from Olafsson himself, one of the lectures. So after Olafsson played rook e4, he got off his chair and left. And when he came back, he saw rook c8 on the board. And he saw in Tol's eyes that Tol understood that he blundered when he made the move. And when Olafsson reached with his hand for the queen, Tal didn't even let him do the move. Tal just resigned. He's like, okay, fine, fine. I resign. Why? Well, very, very simple. We can just take the rook. We can just take the rook. And if you're like, wait a second. What is going on? Why can I take the rook? Well, very simple. If bishop takes, I don't have much faith in your king. It's me. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, as simple as that. Mate. There you go. And if you don't take the queen, after queen takes rook, you're just down a rook for nothing. And black has got nothing. Black's got no counter threats or anything. No checks work, no captures work, nothing. If I switch on the engine, I don't have it on right now, but last time I checked, the engine was showing like -10. Sorry, +10 for white, because it's white. But again, this is a very understandable blunder. When we play a piece to a square that we think is defended, we don't anticipate our piece being captured. And when it's captured, like, ah, right, now I see why. The bishop was what we call overworked. It was protecting both the c8 and the e8 square, both of which were crucial. And when we deflect bishop, take the queen on c8, we suddenly get a problem. Rook e8 check, and through discovery, the bishop is also covering the only escape square for the king, which is h7, resulting in mate. There you go. And yeah, wow, what a combination. Sometimes we also need to remember, make a mental note to ourselves that whenever we make luft with h6, we need to keep in mind, we need to keep tabs on whether we still have luft available if some things happen. So in this case, we have luft, but what if the rook moves and the bishop is still in the diagonal? Then we don't have luft. So always keep an eye on that as well. Position number 2 features Tal as white this time around. And this time around as well, a much fiercer opponent. Now, Olafsson is no schmuck, but when you compare Olafsson to the man, the myth, the legend, that is Harry Kasparov, there's only one winner. And yes, it is Kasparov playing as black in a blitz game in late 80s, I think. Well, Tal still needs to be alive for that to happen. And yeah, this game didn't make Latvia proud at all. So what happened here is bishop takes, pawn takes, so far so good. And again, this game is going to be roughly okay-ish up until the blunder happens. And here the blunder is much simpler. And, you know, first blunder was simple enough, just a tactical combination. This one is just, it's a blitz game, so you can understand that, but this one you will recognize instantly. This is something that happens to all of us and to Tal as well. So, queen a5, Kasparov plays. Queen a5, getting away from that rook to avoid any trouble, which is sensible. And queen a5 is fairly decent. It attacks the pawn, protects the pawn, you know, watches over the e1 square, but it also does something that is going to be very, very relevant in just one move's time. So, Tal plays bishop a3. Tal is like, okay, so I don't want you to take my pawn, so I'm gonna cover this pawn with my bishop, and the bishop is protected, so and I'm also attacking your rook, for all it's worth, right? I got it worth something. And if you already see what the problem with bishop a3 is, congratulations, but it's easy, come on. When you have two things. One, your opponent controlling some squares in your half. You always got to be careful, you know. The opponent is not controlling b4 per se. Now we've got some real good control over b4, but c3, for instance, very, very, very controllable by black. We've got 2 pieces on it. We've only got 1. Meaning, element number 2, we've got 2 pieces placed on the same rank, which is number 3. That is why rook c3. Bang. Very, very simple fork. And if you didn't know, you'd think, oh, it's probably 1,000 playing 1,200. But no, it's still against Kasparov. So there you go. This stuff can happen, but it's a blitz game. So rook c3, very, very simple fork. And there is no way to save the piece. Actually, funny thing is, the best thing to do here is just to take this rook. White is still losing, but it's the best fighting way. So we basically have a queen for a rook. Sorry, the opposite way. The rook for a queen as white. And now we also take this. So we take the rook. Essentially, we are what? A rook and an exchange for a queen, which is still unfavorable material-wise. But hey, this is the best we can do. Yeah, so in this case, Tal also lost very, very quickly. And the instructional moment here, again, is always pay attention to what squares are controlled by your opponent in your own half. Because this is what can happen. And our final position, position numero 3, again, reverses the colors. So Tal is black now. And this is either a casual match or a simul exhibition or just an exhibition. So Tal is just chilling. And this explains a lot because, you know, black is very losing. Okay, not very losing, but just losing in this position. And white here is an opponent that is much less experienced, much lower rated, and plays the move that is very, very obvious. Knight e7 check, forking king and queen. No, not like that, like that. And it's the best move. It's the most obvious. You know, who wouldn't play this? This is everyone's wet dream. And when we get a fork like this in our face, which is not very pleasant, we get forked king and queen. What we understand we need to do is obviously we need to take the knight. And for that, we're losing an exchange. And when we have to lose an exchange like that, we kind of tend to subconsciously want to make the most out of that exchange sacrifice, if you know what I mean. So what happens a lot of the time in these positions to us is that we just go through the motions and we just do take, take, take. Because it's very tempting to take that pawn on e7 because we want to get at least knight and a pawn for the exchange. Number 1 reason. And number 2 reason, this pawn on e7, if you don't take it, now it's very strong and very weak at the same time because it's unprotected, if you see what I mean. So, knight you should definitely take. Obviously, you don't want to lose your queen. So takes is obvious. Takes is also obvious, but rook takes e7, taking that pawn greedily, quite greedily, is the losing blunder. One that Tal played. So rook e7. And the problem with that is after rook takes c6, which did take place in the game, you're kind of in trouble a little bit. The queen is attacked, and more than that, your back rank is exposed. We've got a powerful battery here targeting our back rank. Okay, queen goes to b7 to save itself, but now we get back rank mated. There you go. This is the simplest puzzle in the world. So we just sacrifice everything, almost, and white gets the back rank mate. Instead, what we can do, and what Tal did in the game to prevent that threat, is play queen d7, which does save the back rank mate, but comes with its own issues. Rook c8 check is still the winning move here. We can block, sure, but after takes, a rook e1. A rook e1, and we've got another problem on our hands. The bishop is pinned and attacked. And f6 is impossible because the pin. Don't forget about the pin. And if we want to unpin, maybe king to h8, something like that, the queen is overworked. And what I mean by that, the rook can simply take. The rook can simply take. Of course, we don't really care about losing an exchange when we just get the back rank mate again. And the queen is overworked because it's protecting both the bishop and the back rank mate. So we can just take the bishop if king h8 happens. So this position, regardless of what happens, loses for black. In a funny development, after all of this happened, and all of this did happen, the opponent didn't capitalize on the position. He played a different move, and in a couple of moves they lost the game, which isn't very interesting. So I'm not going to show you that. You can research the game yourselves, do some research, do some homework. But yeah, don't neglect back rank mate. Whenever there is an opportunity for a battery and you don't have any loft, make sure that your pieces stay on the back rank. I know it sounds a bit passive, but what are you going to do sometimes? Your rook has to stay on the 8th rank. You can't take that pawn. What you should do instead, if you want to know, is that you want to play queen e6 here, so that the rook stays. The pawn gets captured either way at some point. We're going to do it. And this is what's also important for you guys to realize. Sometimes some things, when you know, or you think at least, you can take them later, sometimes you better take them later. Because now we attack the queen, and if rook takes c6 does happen, we can just take. Don't take the pawn just yet, because it's going to be back rank mate again. Don't do that. Give yourself some loft, something like h6, and then you can take the pawn. We've got the dark squared bishop to help us out, so we're going to do it anyway. And if rook takes c6 doesn't happen, if queen takes e6, and we takes again, don't take the pawn. It's going to be back rank mate again. Don't do that. Instead, we're going to play something like bishop f6. We're going to take that pawn a little bit later, right? We're just going to be a bit more patient. And this position is, it's not great for black, but maybe holdable. Instead, yeah, what happened, happened. But still, Tal won that game in the end, because the opponent couldn't capitalize. But who cares? It's the blunders that we care about. And that is it, my beautiful unintentional gambiteers. Yes, let me know in the comments below, please, which of the blunders was your favorite, which one was the worst, most instructive, life-changing, whatever. And if you just happened to find this video useful, please like and subscribe. We're back, so catch me on streams next week, starting next Tuesday. Keep following the channel for more videos, and there will be many more coming this week, next week, etc. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.